Are you Belinda May Heaton?
Yes, I am.
Belinda May Heaton, you stand charged on this indictment on 2 counts. On the first count, you're charged with criminal damage, contrary to Section 1, subsections 1 and 3 of the Criminal Damage Act 1971. The particulars being that on the 13th February 1982, without lawful excuse, you damaged by fire the garage at 12 Victoria Drive, Fulchester, belonging to you and to James Arthur Heaton, intending to damage such property or being reckless as to whether such property would be damaged. Belinda May Heaton, are you guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
On the second count, you're charged with attempted murder, contrary to Section 1, subsection 1 of the Criminal Attempts Act 1981. The particulars being that on the 13th February 1982, you attempted to murder James Arthur Heaton. Belinda May Heaton, are you guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
The case you're about to see and the characters portrayed are fictional, but the procedure is authentic. The characters are played by actors, but the jury is selected from members of the general public.
Will you tell the court who owns your house, Mr. Heaton?
We do. Belle, my wife and me.
So the house is jointly owned in both your names?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Heaton. Now, perhaps, would you tell the court your occupation?
I'm unemployed.
The defendant, your wife, is a nightclub singer, I believe.
That's right.
Was it your habit to drive her to and from engagements?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, she usually slept during the afternoon, so I'd answer the phone for her and get a meal ready for her, like, and then there were evening gowns. I used to have to take them to the cleaners and press them for the evening show, that sort of thing.
In short, you acted as unpaid chauffeur and valet to your wife?
Yeah, suppose I did, really.
Now, Mr. Heaton, I must ask you to cast your mind back to the unpleasant events beginning on the evening of the 12th of February in 1982. Had you driven your wife to an engagement on that evening?
Yeah. I dropped her off at the club that night. She'd been working there all week, and then I drove home because I had a few bits and pieces to do.
What sort of bits and pieces?
Well, there was the washing up from the supper, for one thing, and then she'd been... Belle, my wife, had been complaining all week about the smell of burning oil from the car engine. So I had a bit of a go at that.
And then what did you do?
Well, she told me to go back for it at 12:30, so I did. But I had to hang about for a bit until she was ready. That'll be about 1:30 in the morning. And then I drove her home.
And what time did you arrive home?
Oh, about 2.
So that would be 2 o'clock on the morning of the 13th of February?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Well, I dropped her off at the back door. The drive to the garage goes past it, and she went inside the kitchen, and then I put the car away in the garage.
And did you go indoors immediately?
No, I played around with the engine for a bit before going on in.
So what time was it when you finally went upstairs to bed?
Oh, about 2:30 in the morning.
Thank you. And was your wife already in bed?
Yeah.
And did you fall asleep immediately?
Well, no. She kept getting up to go to the toilet, and every time I was just about dropping off, she'd disturb me. We've got a double bed, you see.
And how many times did your wife get up before you actually managed to get to sleep, Mr. Heaton?
3, maybe 4 times.
And how long were these visits your wife made to the toilet?
Well, not long. 3 or 4 minutes, except for one.
So one of these visits to the toilet took rather longer than the other?
Yeah. I'd got quite worried. I mean, she'd been gone a good 10 minutes, I'd say. I thought there might be something wrong.
So she'd been gone for a good 10 minutes?
Yeah, get it on that way, yeah.
And you've said that normally such visits took a mere 3 or 4 minutes?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Well, when she came back the last time, I must have dropped off because the next thing I knew, there was a sort of bang and a noise of shattering glass, and I woke up. Well, I went over to the bedroom window. It looks over the garden, and I could see the garage was on fire. Well, I must have shouted because she, Belle, my wife, woke up, and I told her to ring for the fire brigade, and then I ran downstairs to see if there was anything I could do.
Well, what did you think you could do?
Well, it's a big garage, you see, a double garage. And I could see that the fire was only at one end of it, the top end. And I thought maybe as I could save the car, and, well, I had some personal stuff in there as well.
What sort of stuff?
Well, money, my savings.
Am I to understand that you kept your money in the garage, Mr. Heaton?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Perhaps you would tell the court exactly where your money was located in the garage, Mr. Heaton?
I've kept it in tins, hidden on the rafters.
But why did you keep your money in the garage at all? Why not in the house, or better still, in a building society?
Well, she'd have found the paperwork somehow. I mean, she had charge of all our money, and, well, she was mean with it. Anyhow, she was always going through my jacket pockets.
Well, how do you know this?
Well, she used to leave me a bit of pocket money sometimes.
Pocket money, Mr. Heaton? Surely that's a term used to refer to money given to children.
That's what it felt like. Like I was a little boy being given half a crown for the week.
Absolutely.
It made me feel beholden to her, not a proper man.
Not a proper man. Huh. Now, let's get back to this habit of hers of going through your pockets. Can you remember a particular occasion when she did this?
Yeah, the day before the fire.
How do you know?
Because she took something. I'd had a letter that day, the day before the fire, and I'd put it in my pocket. I suppose I should have known better, really. Anyway, when I went to look for it, it had gone, and there in its place was the usual pocket money from Bill.
And you think that your wife had taken the letter?
Well, she must have. I checked it when I hung my jacket in the kitchen, and it was there then.
Who was this letter from, Mr. Heaton?
Just a woman I knew. She'd put in a photograph of herself.
Just a woman sent you a photograph of herself?
Well, all right. She was my girlfriend.
And was this photograph of your girlfriend also in your pocket when you left your jacket in the kitchen?
Yeah. And they'd both gone when I went to check them.
How were relations with your wife, Mr. Heaton?
What relations? She didn't want me. Not in that way, anyway. I mean, well, she was after us getting twin beds.
Did your wife know of this extramarital relationship of yours, Mr. Heaton?
I don't know. Not till then, anyway.
I see. Now, let's get back to the night in question. Will you tell us now exactly what you did after you had alerted your wife to telephone the fire brigade?
Well, I flung on me dressing gown on the way downstairs and picked up the garage keys on the way out.
And when you reached the garage, did you find it locked or unlocked?
Locked. Well, I opened the doors and I went inside.
I realize this must be most distressing for you, Mr. Heaton, but please do try to continue if you can.
Well, like I said, the fire was just at one end of the garage, but the heat was enough to knock you down. And I was in a panic, you know, a bit of a state. I thought I wouldn't have time to do anything about the car, and the whole place was about to go up. So I went for my tins on the rafters. But, well, there's about 40 or more of them. And I managed to get a couple down, and then I panicked and turned back to get out of the garage. And as I turned, I saw her, Belle, my wife, just outside the garage near the doors. And then the doors banged shut, locking me inside. Well, I screamed at her to open, to let me out. I banged on the doors. It seemed ages. I couldn't open them, you see.
You mean you couldn't open the garage doors from the inside? Why was that?
You see, the lock, it was her who insisted on it. She was paranoid, scared of people stealing from her.
I hardly think the witness is qualified to suggest that the defendant is paranoid, my lord.
No, I agree with you, Mrs. Merritt. You are here to give us the facts concerning what happened that night, Mr. Heaton. You must allow us to form our own opinions on the defendant's character.
Just tell us about this lock on the garage door, Mr. Heaton.
Well, it was a union lock, a cylinder action, but with a latch. So the doors would lock if you just banged them shut. But it operated like a mortise as well. You had to have a key to open it both from the outside and from the inside.
But you had a key, Mr. Heaton.
No, I dropped them outside when I got in.
But fortunately, you did get out.
Yeah. In the end, I picked up the spade and... Well, we kept the garden tools in there as well, you see. And I tried to force open the doors by putting the blade between them. And then the car went up. Well, I suppose the blast must have helped because the doors burst open and I fell out. My dressing gown was on fire all down the back and I was screaming. And then I saw her, Belle, my wife, coming towards me. She had a jemmy in her hands and she looked queer. So I ran away from her.
Exhibit number 1, my lord. May the witness be shown it. You ran away from your wife, Mr. Heaton?
Yeah, it was the jemmy. Yeah, that was it. I thought she was going to hit me with it. So I ran towards the grass, you know, on the lawn and rolled about trying to put the flames out. And then Mrs. Williams, she came over.
Mrs. Williams?
Our neighbour. She was there. I don't remember when she turned up. But then Belle dropped the jemmy And she and Mrs. Williams helped me into the house.
Do you remember saying anything to your wife at this time?
Yeah, I said something like, she knew. She did it.
She?
Belle. I suppose I must have been saying it to Mrs. Williams, but Belle was there, and I wanted her to hear that I knew what she tried to do to me.
As a direct result of being trapped in this fire, you were badly burned, were you not?
I was lucky to get away with my life.
Can you think of any reason why your wife should want to harm you, Mr. Heaton?
Yeah. She's jealous. She couldn't bear to lose anything, including me.
When describing the dreadful events inside the burning garage, Mr. Heaton, you said that you turned back to get out of the garage and saw your wife just outside the garage near the doors. And then you said that the doors banged shut, locking you inside. Are you saying, Mr. Heaton, that the garage doors shut against you of their own accord?
No.
Then what are you saying?
That she shut them. My wife. She did it on purpose. She locked me in that burning garage.
And how long had you worked for McNaught Electrics before leaving their employment, Mr. Heaton?
Oh, get it on for 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
So no doubt they supplied you with a good reference when you left?
No, they wouldn't give me one.
Oh, why was that?
Well, they said my account books weren't right. I mean, I never had been very clever with figures, and I suppose I must have made a mistake, that's all.
Am I to understand that it was on account of this mistake that your firm refused to give you a reference?
Yeah.
I suggest to you, Mr. Heaton, that you were asked to resign. Is that not so?
Yes.
In order to avoid possible action on the part of your former employer?
Oh, my lord.
Mr. Heaton is not on trial, Mrs. Meredith.
No, my lord. Whatever the details surrounding your leaving McNaught Electrics, Mr. Heaton, on your own admission, you were not very clever with figures.
No.
Now, your wife, the defendant, is she good with figures?
Yeah.
So it was hardly surprising when she took over the management of the household accounts.
No, I suppose not.
Now, in the 2 years since leaving your old firm, Mr. Heaton, your wife had been the sole breadwinner, had she not?
More or less, yeah.
But she became ill, making it difficult for her to work.
Yeah.
In fact, only a few months before the fire, she had undergone major surgery, had she not?
She'd had her gallbladder taken out.
And was advised by her doctors to take a long, recuperative holiday.
Yeah.
Yet when she went to the cupboard, she found it was bare. There was not enough money for her to take that holiday. But surely there were your savings, weren't there? In the garage, in the tins. How much money did you have in those tins, Mr. Heaton?
Nigh on 1,800 quid.
Nigh on £1,800, yet you kept this money from your wife, and she, ill as she was forced to go back to work.
Yeah.
How much pocket money did your wife leave for you, Mr. Heaton?
No, varied.
Half a crown, was it?
No, it was more than that.
How much more? How much, for example, did you find in your pockets the day you discovered the photograph of your girlfriend was missing?
50 quid, pounds.
£50? Little boy would have to buy a lot of gobstoppers to spend all that pocket money.
Mrs. Meredith, I hardly think the gobstoppers are relevant in this case.
No, my lord. Let us get back to your savings, Mr. Heaton. Nigh on £1,800, you said. Where did you get all that money?
Well, I did odd jobs sometimes, like for Mrs. Williams, mending her gate, that sort of thing.
Are you telling us that you earned £1,800 in just over 2 years doing odd jobs?
No.
The money must have come from somewhere.
Well, it didn't come from McNaught Electrics, if that's what you're thinking.
Then where did it come from?
Well, I'd saved it from my pocket money.
So the money hidden in the garage was actually money earned by your wife and then given to you.
Most of it, yes.
Yet you withheld it from her when she needed it.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Heaton, you've said that your wife made you feel not a proper man and that your marital relations were not all that you might have wished.
They weren't.
Surely your wife had been very ill, Mr. Heaton.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that any lack in the marital relations were due to her poor health.
If you like.
Not if I like, Mr. Heaton. Now, this business of her disturbing you in the middle of the night by frequent visits to the lavatory. Did not her operation leave your wife with a weakness in the bladder?
Well, she said so.
In fact, it had become her habit to rise frequently in order to relieve herself, had it not? So that her behaviour on the night in question was in no way unusual.
No, I suppose not.
Have you sometimes fallen asleep, Mr. Heaton, during your wife's many absences?
I don't know. I might have.
You've said that on the night of the fire, your wife was absent once for a good 10 minutes, later amended to getting on that way.
Yeah.
Are you sure, Mr. Heaton, that you hadn't fallen asleep so that you lost track of time and only thought that your wife had been away for getting on for 10 minutes?
Oh, no, no, I don't think so.
You don't think so? You seem rather vague, Mr. Heaton, on this very important point, since this would have been the only so-called opportunity that the accused would have had in which to start the fire. In fact, you cannot even say definitely whether your wife got up 3 or 4 times, can you?
No.
Now, Mr. Heaton, let us proceed to the supposed cause of the fire. Neither you nor your wife were smokers, were you?
No.
And yet, we know from the fire officer's report, the deposition was received and agreed on, my lord, that spent matches were discovered on the floor of the garage after the fire had been put out. Can you think of any means by which they might have got there?
No.
Mr. Heaton, you said your wife had given you £50 on the day before the fire.
Yeah.
What did you do with that money?
Well, I kept some of it by me for spending like.
And the rest?
I put it away.
Where?
In my tins, in the garage.
When?
That evening, when Belle was at the club.
When you were having a go at the engine because your wife had complained about the smell of burning oil.
That's right, yeah.
What exactly did you do to the engine, Mr. Heaton?
Oh, I cleaned it. I cleaned up the oil and grime. I'd put a bit too much oil in a few weeks before and it had made a mess, and I thought that might be causing the smell.
I see. And what did you use to clean it?
Oh, bit of paraffin.
Paraffin?
Yeah. It's normal practice. I mean, you soak a rag in a bit of paraffin and you clean it with that.
Where did the paraffin come from?
From the plastic bottles in the garage. They were there for the oil stoves in case there's a power cut.
So you took the top from a plastic container of paraffin, soaked a rag in the highly flammable liquid, and cleaned the engine with it?
Yeah.
Did you put the top back on the container afterwards?
I couldn't find it.
So you left a container filled with paraffin open, Mr. Heaton?
No. No, I stopped it up.
What with?
The rag. Well, a bit of it. I screwed it up and stuffed it in the bottleneck, and then I put it back on the shelf with the others.
The rag?
No, I threw the rest of that in the corner.
Are you saying that you threw it down on the floor of the garage?
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell the police about this?
Oh, they didn't ask.
Surely you must have realized that paraffin-soaked rags on the floor of the garage might have been a vital factor in assessing the true cause of the fire.
Well, I don't know. I'm not an expert.
Now, there was an electric light in your garage, was there not, Mr. Heaton?
Yeah.
Where exactly was it positioned?
Towards the middle, underneath the rafters.
Under the rafters?
Yeah.
So the area above the rafters, where your tins were kept, would in fact have been in shadow?
Yeah.
Must have made it difficult when you were putting your money in your tins to see what you were doing.
Not really.
Now, you've said that paraffin was kept in the garage in case of power failure. Were not candles and matches also kept there for the same purpose?
I think so. Belle was in charge of all that kind of thing.
So, had you wished to check the contents of your tins, you could have used the matches to cast some extra light on what you were doing.
I could have. But, I mean, as I said...
Now, on the night in question, after your wife had gone indoors, you've stated that you played about with the engine for a while before following her into the house.
That's right. Yeah.
What exactly did you do to the engine that time, Mr. Heaton?
Well, I checked the oil again, and I looked underneath to see if there was a leak.
Surely it must have been dark underneath the car.
Well, I felt about with my hands.
For half an hour?
I looked at the handbook, and I thought a bit.
You thought a bit. Mr. Heaton, on your own admission, you got home at 2 a.m., but you did not go to bed until 2:30. You, therefore, had half an hour in which to check the oil and think a bit. Now, I suggest to you that you couldn't resist checking your savings.
No,
that you used the matches stored in the garage, and that you were solely responsible for the matches found on the garage floor after the fire.
No, I've already told you I was tinkering with the car.
Let us move on to your assertion that your wife deliberately locked you in the burning garage. Now, Mr. Heaton, you've said that you went in there of your own accord, did you not?
Yeah.
The defendant in no way encouraged you to do so.
No.
Once inside, you panicked.
Yeah.
And on turning to leave the garage, you saw your wife outside in the garden, close to the garage doors.
Yeah.
How did you know it was your wife?
Well, who else could it be? I saw her nightie.
Her nightdress, not her face.
Well, she'd be trying to hide it from me, wouldn't she?
You didn't see her face.
No.
Then how did you know it was your wife?
Well, a nightie wouldn't move about on its own, would it?
Did you, for example, see your wife's hand on the door as it closed?
I don't know. It was all so quick. I mean, all I got was a glimpse of Belle outside the doors before they banged shut. But she was there, all right.
Mr. Heaton, can you honestly say that you saw anything at all through the garage doors apart from the nightdress itself?
No, but I knew she was inside it.
What colour was the nightdress?
Orange.
Thank you, Mr. Heaton.
Miss Belgrave, have you any further questions?
Yes, my lord, I have. Mr. Heaton, surely, if you'd been in the habit of checking your savings by the light of matches, then a large number would have accumulated on the garage floor, and not the mere 7 found by the police after the fire.
Yeah. Anyway, I could have used my torch.
Your torch?
Yeah. There was one in the car.
So, if on the night of the fire you had been checking your savings, would you have used that in preference to the matches?
I could have, but I've already said I was working on the car.
Just one more question, Mr. Heaton. You said you cannot remember whether you fell asleep or not during your wife's absence. Now, if you did in fact fall asleep, could it not have been for longer than you had realized?
Yes. Yes, it could have.
That is all, my lord.
Thank you, Mr. Heaton. You may leave the witness box.
Mrs. Williams, did you often see your neighbors coming and going around the house?
Oh, yes.
For example, did you ever see Mrs. Heaton go into the garage at any time?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, I saw her the day before the fire. I was just coming back from my shopping, and I saw her coming out of her garage. She didn't see me. And then about half an hour later, I popped round. It was having seen her that made me realize she was in, you see. Well, I had a letter for them, misposted. We've got a new postman, and he's got dyslexia as far as numbers are concerned. He's always getting it wrong. Anyway, I took it round.
And you posted it through their front door?
Oh, no, I delivered it in person to the kitchen door.
Would you describe this kitchen door for members of the jury, please, Mrs. Williams?
Oh, it's one of them with glass in it, see-through. Not like mine with icicles in the pattern, but like a proper window.
So you could see through the window in the door directly into the Heaton's kitchen?
Oh, yeah.
And what did you see, Mrs. Williams?
I saw her, Beale Heaton. She had her back to me and she was burning something in the sink.
Could you see what she was burning?
Oh, yeah. She tried to explain it away later. Said it was an unsavory fan letter. But it didn't look like a letter to me.
What did it look like?
A photograph.
Are you sure of that, Mrs. Williams?
Oh, yeah. She just said light to it. I could see the flame spreading from one corner. It was a picture of a woman, a young woman, and she was burning it.
The case of the Queen against Heaton will continue tomorrow in the Crown Court. The case you're about to see is fictional, but the procedure is authentic. The characters are played by actors, but the jury is selected from members of the public. Belinda May Heaton has pleaded not guilty to 2 charges. Firstly, that of setting fire to the garage of 12 Victoria Drive, Fulchester, the home of herself and her husband, James Heaton. And secondly, that of attempting murder upon the said James Heaton. Both alleged incidents taking place in the early hours of the 13th of February, 1982. The case is now in its 2nd day, and Mrs. Merritt, counsel for the defence, is beginning her cross-examination.
Mrs. Williams, on the night of the fire, you were awakened by bangs and shouting, and you saw that your neighbour's garage was on fire.
Yes, that's right.
Did you notice whether the garage doors were open or closed at this time?
They were closed.
Did you see anyone near the garage doors in the garden?
No, not that I stopped to look. And anyway, the washing was in the way.
Whose washing?
Hers, Mrs. Heaton's. She'd left it out overnight.
Can you remember what was on the line?
No, I can't say I do.
So you telephoned the fire brigade and then you hurried downstairs to see if you could help, by which time you could hear someone screaming. Who was screaming, Mrs. Williams?
Him, Mr. Heaton. When I got there, he was just coming out of the garage, flames all over his back.
And it was at this point that you saw the defendant coming out of the house with the jemmy in her hands.
Yes, one of them. And she looked as though she meant business.
What kind of business?
I don't know. She had this wide look in her eyes. And anyway, she dropped it when she saw me. And we both went to help Mr. Heaton.
Now, I put it to you, Mrs. Williams, that the defendant did indeed mean business. That when she hurried towards the garage doors with the jemmy in her hand, she intended not to use it as a weapon against her husband, but to break down the doors and get him out. And that she dropped the jemmy not because she saw you, but because she saw that her husband had already made his escape without her help.
I don't know about that. She had this wide look in her
now,
eyes.
Now, Mrs. Williams, you've said that Mr. and Mrs. Heaton often argued and that Mr. Heaton was in the habit of hitting his wife.
Yes.
And that you could tell that Mrs. Heaton had recently been hit because she had a bruised eye. How recently would you say this had happened?
The bruise was fading. In fact, if you didn't know her like I did, you wouldn't have noticed it. She'd made up the other eye to match, you see.
So it hadn't happened that day?
No.
I've only one more question, Mrs. Williams. Can you remember what the defendant was wearing on the night of the fire?
She was wearing a nightie.
Can you describe it?
Long, floaty, I think it was.
And the colour?
No, I can't remember the colour.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams.
Mr. Belgrave?
No re-examination, my lord.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. You may leave the stand.
You are Peter Blackstone?
I am.
And are you employed as station officer at the Muslin Road Fire Station, Fulchester?
I am.
And did you receive a call to attend a fire at 12 Victoria Drive, Fulchester, in the early hours of the 13th of February, 1982?
We did.
Would you tell the court exactly what happened, Mr. Blackstone?
May I use my notebook, my lord? The notes were made at the time of the incident.
By all means.
A call came in from the emergency exchange at 3:52 a.m.
You mean someone had phoned 999?
Yes, we were told that it was a neighbour who'd made the call.
And no one else had reported a fire, only the neighbour?
No, at that point there had only been one call.
And what time did you arrive at the scene of the fire?
4:03, 3 minutes past 4, sir.
And what did you find when you got there?
The garage, a double brick-built garage with a saloon car inside it, was ablaze. The garage doors were open and one of them, unhinged, had fallen to the ground. The garage owners, Mr. and Mrs. Heaton, were in the kitchen in the house with their neighbour. The fire was creating considerable heat and took some time to get under control, but by about 4:30 a.m. it had been put out and my men had begun hosing down to prevent further outbreak.
And did Mr. and Mrs. Heaton stay in the kitchen during this operation?
No, Mrs. Heaton came outside soon after we arrived. There had been a line of washing running from the house to the garage, and some of the garments closest to the garage had themselves caught fire. We'd had to tear down the line as it would have provided a route for the fire to travel toward the house. Mrs. Heaton, who seemed to be in rather a daze, later tried to collect up some of the garments into a basket which she'd brought out of the kitchen.
Did this not strike you as odd in the circumstances?
Yes.
Did she seem upset, hysterical?
No.
Would you say then that she was calm?
She appeared to be.
A fire was raging in her garage, her husband was sitting in the kitchen, very badly burned, and she was calm. And how was Mr. Heaton?
He was moaning and shaking. He kept shouting things.
What sort of things?
Well, early on, when Mrs. Heaton, the defendant, was still in the kitchen, he was going on about his money rather a lot. And every now and then he'd shout at her, saying, "You knew you did it," that kind of thing.
And did the defendant reply to these accusations?
No, she just came outside and started sorting out her washing.
And had you decided at this point what the cause of the fire might be?
Well, what Mr. Heaton had been saying put us on the alert for a start. And then when the fire was out and we were inspecting the burned-out garage building, we found evidence which made an accidental incident doubtful.
And what was that evidence?
First of all, secreted along the garage rafters, we found 45 tins, which when opened revealed charred paper inside and metal strips, which suggested that they had probably contained money in note form. We supposed that this was the money which Mr. Heaton had been talking about. Then, approximately halfway along the length of the garage, at one side and on the floor, we discovered a small mound of melted wax. Close to the wax were a number of spent matches, 7 in all. On bending to examine these, we noticed just under the burned-out car a screw top of the type normally fitted to plastic gallon containers. Along the side of the wall were several sheets of what appeared to be burnt hardboard. At the top end of the garage were the melted remains of 3 plastic gallon containers. 2 of these had their tops screwed on tightly, but the third was without a top. On examination, the containers were found to have a smell consistent with their having been used to store paraffin. The container without a top also had debris of some kind in its base, suggesting that some form of material, such as a wick, had been immersed in the paraffin. Debris of a similar kind was found at the site of the matches and under the candle grease, some feet away from the containers.
So, on the basis of this evidence, Mr. Blackstone, do you now suspect that foul play could have been the cause of the fire?
The evidence left behind was typical of the kind found after a classic arson case.
Perhaps you could explain.
Well, it's a favourite technique used by arsonists. You would take a container of paraffin, remove the top.
Mr. Blackstone, you said that the defendant seemed rather dazed when you arrived on the scene of the fire.
Yes.
But it surprised you to learn that when she arrived at the hospital, she was in fact treated for shock.
Is there any evidence for this?
Yes, my lord, a written deposition from the duty casualty officer has been served on the prosecution and agreed by them. It will be read out in court later. Mr. Blackstone, did you notice exactly what garments were on the washing line?
There was a shirt, at least one, women's underclothing, flimsy things, and I think there was a nightdress.
What kind of nightdress?
Nylon, I suppose. It was a bit melted and charred, but it was one of those long, flowing nightdresses.
The kind which might easily have blown about in the wind?
Yes?
Can you remember what colour it was?
No, I'm sorry.
No matter, Mr. Blackstone. Perhaps you can, however, remember whereabouts on the washing line it was hanging, the house end or the garage end of the line.
When I saw it, it was lying on the ground, so it must have been at the garage end.
So, when the line was up, it would have been clearly visible from the garage if the doors had been open?
Yes.
There was a strong wind that night, Mr. Blackstone. Do you think it was strong enough to have shut a large door, like a garage door?
Maybe.
When you examined the gutted car, did you notice whether there was a torch inside?
There was.
Is it possible for you to say whether it had been in good working order?
It was too badly damaged for any tests to be carried out.
Thank you. Now, let us turn to the supposed cause of the fire, Mr. Blackstone. This favourite technique of arsonists, which you have described to us, you would have to work out very carefully in advance the length of time it would take the flame to travel along the wick towards the container of paraffin.
Yes.
Or you would run the risk of being caught in your own trap.
Yes, and the actual setting up of the materials would require some manual dexterity.
So how long, in your estimation, would it take to set up an operation of the kind you describe?
Well, the materials were already in the garage and could have been prepared in advance. Also, the timing could have been worked out beforehand. So once the materials were ready at the site of the proposed fire, it would take, I suppose, 10, 12 minutes to set it up.
Now, if we are to believe Mr. Heaton, the defendant was gone for getting on for 10 minutes. Let us suppose that she was actually gone for a full 10 minutes. Having risen from her bed, the accused would have to go downstairs, put on her coat, get the key to the garage, let herself out of a locked house, walk the length of the drive to the garage, unlock the garage doors before even beginning to set up the alleged operation. After setting up the materials, she would have had to light the wick, and if we are to believe that the accused was indeed responsible for the 7 matches found on the garage floor after the fire, then it would appear she had some trouble in doing that. Then, having started the fire, she would have to repeat the entire procedure in reverse before getting back into bed. Now, Mr. Blackstone, do you think it is possible to do all this in 10 minutes?
I think it's unlikely.
Now, matches and candles were stored in the garage. During the course of the fire, might not candles on the shelf above the site of the spent matches and the debris of material have melted and therefore formed a mound of wax over the debris of material on the floor beneath?
In my experience, it would be too much of a coincidence to find them in those exact spots.
But not impossible.
We can never be 100% certain that an arson has taken place, but the signs did point to it in this instance. The evidence left behind suggested a classic arson setup.
Blackstone, the material found under the wax mound and that left in the bottom of the container were sent for tests, were they not?
They were.
What was the result?
The materials, both materials, are found to be cotton-based, consistent with their having come from a wick or similar material.
Or similar material?
Yes.
Surely cotton is a very common fibre to be found in all sorts of everyday materials. Can you be sure it was a wick, Mr. Blackstone?
No.
No. Perhaps you could tell us what other materials include cotton?
The list would be endless.
Mr. Blackstone, were you present in court when Mr. Heaton was giving his evidence?
Yes?
Well, you will have heard how he dropped some remnants of a paraffin-soaked rag on the floor of the garage and using the remainder to stop up the neck of a bottle of paraffin.
Yes?
Now, if someone had been using matches in the garage and had dropped one on or near this discarded and highly flammable piece of rag, could the fire have started in this way?
It's possible.
You have told us that burnt sheets of hardboard were found against the garage wall. Could the flame from the ignited rag have travelled along the piece of hardboard towards the containers of paraffin at the other end of the garage?
It would take some time, but yes, it could do.
Now, one of these containers was left without its screw top, but with some more of this paraffin-soaked rag jammed into its neck. Might not any of the rag hanging out have caught on the edge of the burning hardboard, been ignited, and finally set off the first explosion, which was the main cause of the fire?
It's a remote possibility.
And then, during the course of this accidentally induced fire, any candles on the ledge above the site of the spent matches would melt, wouldn't they? Forming a mound covering the first piece of rag.
It's feasible.
Thank you, Mr. Blackstone. You've been most helpful.
Mr. Blackstone, just one more question. Were the related positions of the candle wax and the container of paraffin typical for the fire-raising technique you have outlined to us?
Yes, they were.
Thank you, Mr. Blackstone. No more questions, my lord, and that concludes the case for the prosecution.
Thank you, Mr. Blackstone. Yes, Mrs. Merritt?
I realize it's an unusual course to take, my lord, but I would prefer to call another witness as opposed to the defendant as my first witness.
You have good reason for this, Mrs. Merritt.
Well, I am hoping that my first witness will be able to throw light on both the character of the defendant and the relationship between her and her husband, my lord.
A character witness. Yes, I suppose so, if you must.
Thank you, my lord. I call Mr. William Robbins. Mr. Robbins, you're the manager of the Top Drawer nightclub in Moss Lynn, are you not?
I am.
And you employ the accused, Mrs. Heaton, as a singer, do you not?
I've done from time to time. It's not a permanent contract.
But you have employed her frequently in the past.
Yeah.
Would you say you know her well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're old pals. Friends.
Now, during the year before the fire, Mrs. Heaton had been very ill, had she not?
Yeah.
Did she confide in you about her illness?
Yeah, she told me she was on the list at the Fulchester Royal to have her gallbladder removed.
Did you give her any advice?
Oh, yeah, I told her straight. Get it sorted. You see, I couldn't keep on having her at the club. I mean, the state she was in. Customers didn't like it. I'm not a charity.
And what did the defendant do as a consequence of your advice?
She went private.
She paid to have the treatment done privately?
Yeah. I knew it'd cost her a lot. But I did promise her that I'd have her back as soon as she got her old spark back.
And how was she when you next engaged her, Mr. Robbins? Did she have her old spark?
No, she didn't. She looked ill, she'd lost weight. Generally, I think she felt she'd lost her glamour. Of course, I didn't say anything, but she knew she had to do something about it, and quick. It's part of her job, by the way, glamour. Customers expect it.
And what did she do?
Well, she was flat broke, so she asked me for an advance so that she could go out, buy some new dresses for her act, you know. Oh, yeah, also she had some of that laser beam treatment. Iron out her wrinkles.
The laser beams are used in beauty treatments, my lord.
Are they?
And did you give her the advance?
Yes, I did. You see, it was a professional necessity in her case. I mean, she wasn't just indulging herself.
So the dresses and beauty treatments were all a professional requirement?
That's right.
Was Mrs. Heaton generous with her money?
Well, when she had it, I suppose she was. Well, she was always generous to her husband, though.
What makes you say that?
Well, she hadn't finished paying me back, but she'd quietly slip him some money after she got her wages so that he could buy his round in the club.
So Mr. Heaton used to frequent the club?
Yeah, well, he used to come and pick her up, but then he'd stay on for a couple of hours, you know, enjoying himself. He loved it. Give him a chance to show off.
Show off?
Yeah, well, He was a big mouth. Like flashing his, or rather Belle's money around. You know, making eyes at the hostesses, that sort of thing.
Was Mrs. Heaton aware of this?
Oh, yeah.
Did she object?
Not at all.
Did she ever show any signs of jealousy?
No, I think she was sorry for him.
Why was that?
Well, she felt that he resented her success. You see, he's an inadequate type. But she just said that anything that made him feel good, boosted his ego, well, it was all right by her.
She actually said that?
Oh, yeah.
So she didn't mind him flirting with the hostesses?
I didn't say that. I said she didn't object. She tolerated it, but it hurt her all the same.
Had Mr. Heaton, to your knowledge, ever done anything more than just flirt with the hostesses?
Yeah.
Did the accused tell you about this?
No. She's far too loyal for that. Belle wouldn't say a word about anything serious. It's just that I was with her. We'd had a party booking at the club, you understand, and we'd been putting in some extra rehearsal. Anyway, we'd broken for lunch, go for a few drinks. I think this was about 18 months or so ago. And there he was, Jim Heaton, in the pub with this woman. Oh, and they were holding hands.
Mr. Heaton had a girlfriend at the time of the fire.
Yeah.
Was it her you saw holding hands with Mr. Heaton?
No, this was an earlier companion.
And what was the defendant's reaction when she saw her husband holding hands with another woman?
Well, she looked very tired, you know, like she'd aged suddenly.
Did she say anything?
No. I asked her what she was going to do about it. She just said nothing. It'll blow over.
Did she seem either angry or jealous?
No.
Now, Mr. Robbins, on the night of the 12th of February, were you at the club?
Yes, I was.
Did you speak with Mrs. Heaton during the course of the evening?
Yeah, I did. I popped into her dressing room while she was putting on her face. Oh, makeup.
Can you remember what the conversation was about?
Yeah, well, she was angling for some more work. I mean, she was just going on about the car burning oil, what a big job it'd be. Of course, I knew what she was getting at. She wanted me to extend her contract.
How did she seem to you?
Well, she was a bit depressed. You see, she kept trying to crack jokes, which she can't. I mean, I told her to leave that to the comics, you know? Anyway, she was too bright, if you know what I mean. You see, I know Belle, Mrs. Heaton. She likes to put a face on things, or tries to.
Could you describe her behaviour towards her husband that evening, Mr. Robbins?
Yeah, well, he was being churlish, and she was just trying to jolly him up a bit.
Was her behaviour, do you think, antagonistic towards her husband?
My lord, I hardly think the witness is qualified to make a judgment on that point.
I'm inclined to agree with you, Mr. Belgrave. Rephrase your question, please, Mrs. Meredith.
Certainly, my lord, I do apologise. Mr. Robbins, was there any anger or vindictiveness in Mrs. Heaton's behaviour towards her husband?
No, there wasn't. In fact, I would say that she was going out of her way to please him.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins.
Mr. Belgrave, have you any questions?
Oh, yes, my lord, I have. Mr. Robbins, we have heard from Mrs. Heaton's neighbour, and now from you, that she put a face on things, so it wouldn't have been in the nature of the defendant to give away her feelings, would it?
Not intentionally, no.
Oh, you said she wouldn't have said a word about anything serious.
I might have.
I assure you, Mr. Robbins, you did. But if the matter were not serious, for example, her husband flirting with one of the hostesses at the club, she would speak of it.
Yeah.
So that the very fact of her silence could suggest not that there was nothing to speak of, but quite the opposite, that there was something indeed very serious on her mind.
I suppose so.
In fact, the defendant would be the last person to give away her true feelings, and the deeper they were, the more she would do to hide them.
Yeah.
Mr. Robbins, did Mrs. Heaton ever mention to you that her husband beat her?
No.
But she did sometimes bear the marks of these assaults, a bruising and so on?
Oh, yes.
In fact, did she not once miss a performance at your club because of a particularly severe bruise on her left cheek?
Yeah, but she could usually camouflage it, you know, with a bit of makeup.
But she'd said nothing to you about how these bruises had appeared?
No, but I knew. You see, I told her once that she ought to make a proper complaint about him to the police, you know? But she just said something like, well, he's not all bad. But there was never any doubt about who'd done it to her, though.
Did she never seem angry at her husband's violence towards her?
She never said anything.
Did she look angry?
Of course she did, wouldn't you?
You must simply answer the questions, Mr. Robbins. Whether or not the prosecuting counsel would be angry in this instance is neither here nor there.
Sorry, my lord, it's just that it was affecting her work, you know. I mean, she had been extremely ill. And no proper man did a woman in my book.
Mrs. Heaton had been working for you for several days before the fire, had she not?
Yes, that's right. She'd had a contract for the week.
Did she appear at the club with any fresh bruising that week?
Yeah, but it wasn't on the day of the fire. No, it was on her second night, the 8th of February. She came in with a black eye, but it had faded by the last night, the 12th.
Did she seem angry about that particular incident? No. She was usually angry.
No. But she'd be a bit angry, but she was generally pretty philosophical about it, stances.
You mean she had every reason to be angry?
Yeah.
But as you have said, the defendant was a woman who hid her true feelings, and even if she'd been very angry indeed, she would have done her utmost to conceal it from you and from everybody else.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins.
Mr. Robbins, when my learned friend asked you whether it wouldn't be in the nature of the defendant to give away her feelings, you answered, not intentionally, no. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What exactly did you mean by that?
Well, she wouldn't have said anything, because she wouldn't have needed to, you see. She would have looked it.
I don't quite follow. I wonder if you'd like to clarify that statement, Mr. Robbins.
Well, my lord, you see, well, all entertainers are the same. They try to hide their feelings, you know, put on an act. But they can't kid anybody who really knows them well. I mean, an outsider might be fooled by Mrs. Heaton's act, but not me.
I see. I hope that it is clear to everyone else.
So you feel that you know the defendant very well?
Yeah. Well, like I said, you see, I knew she was unhappy when she started cracking jokes, but that's only because I know her. Anybody else might think she was on top of the world.
Would you say that Mrs. Heaton was a hard woman?
Oh, no, no. No, she might come across like that to other people, but she's got a soft centre. Wouldn't hurt to fly.
Not even a husband who beat her?
Especially him. Too soft by half with him.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins. Oh, Mr. Robbins, did Mr. Heaton say anything to you about the car burning oil that evening?
Yeah, he did. He asked me to have a look at it with him. It was in the car park.
And did you?
Yeah, well, you got to show willing, haven't you? Stuck me head under the bonnet, but you couldn't see a lot.
You couldn't see much. Why was that?
Well, it was off the street away from the light.
But Mr. Heaton kept a torch in the car.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, he didn't bring it out and use it then when it would have been most helpful?
No.
Why was that, Mr. Robbins? Have you any idea?
No.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robbins.
You may leave the witness box, Mr. Robbins.
My lord, I call the defendant, Belinda May Heaton.
The case of the Queen against Heaton will be concluded tomorrow in the Crown Court. The case you're about to see is fictional, but the procedure is authentic. The characters are played by actors, but the jury is selected from members of the public. Belinda Heaton has pleaded not guilty to the charge of damaging by fire the garage of her own home and to the charge of attempted murder on her husband by shutting him inside the burning building. The husband, James Heaton, has given testimony that he kept savings secret from his wife inside the garage and that on the day before the fire she had discovered the existence of his girlfriend. Mrs. Heaton is about to give her evidence, and at the end of today's proceedings the jury will retire to consider their verdict.
And how long were you absent from the bedroom on these occasions?
About 3 minutes.
Did you at any time go downstairs?
No, I always came straight back to bed. I must have dropped off because the next thing I knew, Jim was shouting at me, telling me that the garage was on fire and that I should ring the fire brigade. He went downstairs. Well, I was still half asleep, but I started to dial 999. Then suddenly, I wondered where he'd gone. So I dropped the phone and I ran to the window. I saw him running out towards the garage. Well, I must have panicked because I went down after him to stop him from getting inside. When I got there, there was no sign of him. The garage doors were shut. I could hear him screaming from inside. So I didn't have a key. I went back to the house to try and find something heavy enough to break open the doors. When I came out with it, he got himself outside the garage. His dressing gown was on fire. I dropped the jemmy and I ran towards him to try and help him. Then he started shouting at me to keep away.
So you started to call the fire brigade, but only stopped because you panicked about your husband's safety?
Yes.
When exactly did you discover about the money in the garage?
The next day.
The day after the fire?
The police started asking me questions. That was the first thing I knew about it, and he'd never told me anything about it. You see, I hardly ever go near the garage.
Now, Mrs. Williams has testified that she saw you coming out of the garage the day before the fire.
She's wrong. I wasn't in the garage. She's lying. She doesn't like me at all.
Mrs. Heaton, what were you wearing on the night of the fire?
A nightdress.
What sort of nightdress?
Pink nylon, the floaty kind.
Pink. It has been suggested that it was orange.
No, pink.
Thank you. And can you remember what other garments were on the washing line?
A couple of Jim's shirts, a slip, tights, panties, and a nightie.
Would you describe this second nightdress, please?
Well, it was very similar to the one I'd got on, except it was lavender.
So the nightdress you were wearing was pink, and the one on the washing line close to the garage doors was lavender?
Yes.
Now, Mrs. Heaton, you decided to jump the hospital waiting list and take private treatment. Why was that?
Well, it was a question of survival, really. I mean, I have to work to keep us both. Or I had to. And I couldn't afford to waste time on a hospital waiting list.
After the operation, you went straight back to work?
Yes.
Did your doctor approve of this?
No, he said I should take a long rest. Proper holiday if I could.
Why did you not follow his advice?
There wasn't any money. Or I thought there wasn't. I just had to get back.
You spent a lot of money, however, on clothes and beauty treatment, did you not?
Yes.
Why was that?
Well, I looked a wreck. I had to for my work.
Was there any other reason, Mrs. Heaton?
Yes, there was. I felt that my husband didn't want me anymore. I couldn't blame him after I'd been so lacking in interest, and I wanted to make an effort to win him back. I had laser treatments and everything.
Now, you had an argument with your husband in the week before the fire. What was that about?
The car. I had smelt burning, and I was worried about it. He said he couldn't do anything about it, he couldn't afford to, and I said that money didn't matter, that I'd try and get another contract at the top drawer to pay for it. Well, I might have gone on about it a bit because he got very angry. I think I'd hurt his pride. Anyway, he hit me.
Were you angry at this?
I was angry, but not at him.
Could you elaborate, please?
Well, I was angry at myself. You see, for one thing, I put my foot in it, and then for another thing, well, I was just angry at life.
Life?
Circumstances. Me being out of work, him unemployed, no money, then me being ill. It was like a conspiracy, and that woman next door.
Had you any idea that your husband was carrying on an affair with another woman at this time?
Not until I found the photograph in Jim's pocket.
What were you doing in your husband's pocket, Mrs. Heaton?
I was slipping him money.
Why could you not give it to him directly?
I thought it would be less humiliating that way.
Less humiliating?
I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I didn't want him to feel that he was sponging on me.
What was your reaction when you found the photograph?
I was very upset, but then I thought that he'd meant me to find it.
Could you explain that, Mrs. Heaton?
Well, he'd either been very careless, or he must have known I'd find it because he knew I always put money in his pockets. I thought it was just another way of his getting at me.
Getting at you?
Yes, like when he hit me, when he made eyes at the hostesses in front of everybody in the club. It was humiliating. I thought it was just his way of getting at me because I was more successful than he was.
So you're saying that your husband resented you?
Yes. He went out of his way to hurt me.
He went out of his way to hurt you?
Yes.
Is that why he's accusing you of having locked him in the burning garage?
Yes. I think he wants to get me into trouble. I think he wants me out of the way.
Now, Mrs. Heaton, did you at any time use matches in the garage?
No.
Your husband kept a torch in the car, did he not?
Yes, he did.
When, to your knowledge, was it last in use?
I'm not sure.
Was it in good working order?
No. About a week or so before the fire, I'd had to use it to look for a glove or something, and it wasn't working then.
Mrs. Heaton, did your husband ever strike you during your illness?
Yes.
Do you not think you would have had good cause to be angry at such treatment?
I would have had cause, yes.
How did you feel when you learned of the money your husband had secreted in the garage?
I couldn't believe it.
But you must have believed it at some point, surely.
Yes.
How did you feel then?
Hurt. Meant he didn't love me anymore.
Did you love him, Mrs. Heaton?
Yes.
Yes. You have said you were trying to win back your husband's affection.
Yes.
And yet you were considering having twin beds.
Yes.
So you were not interested in restoring normal marital relations after your return from hospital?
I wanted to. It just wasn't that easy.
So you did not resume normal marital relations after your operation?
Not really, no.
And yet you say you were trying to win back your husband's affection?
Yes.
Your husband was beating you, you were forced to go back to work before your recovery was complete, and you wanted twin beds installed in your house. And you still say you were trying to win your husband back?
Yes.
You say your husband got at you by making eyes at the hostesses in the club in your presence. Did this not annoy you?
Didn't annoy me. It upset me. It was humiliating.
And did you feel no temptation to humiliate your husband in return?
Not really, no. Wouldn't have helped matters.
Mrs. Heaton, you used to quietly slip your husband some money by leaving it in his pockets, did you not?
Yes.
And you told Mr. Robbins this?
No.
Then how can he have known about it? Surely Mr. Heaton wouldn't have told him.
No, Bill... Mr. Robbins must have seen me doing it.
Ah, so you did it in public?
In the club. I mean, if I saw that he didn't have enough money for his round, then I'd just slip it to him, that's all.
But Mr. Robbins noticed it, and perhaps others also noticed it. Are you quite sure you didn't do this in order to humiliate your husband? That this was not, in fact, a further rejection of him as a man?
My lord.
Mr. Belgrave, the defendant has not admitted to rejection of her husband, as far as I am aware.
I apologize, my lord. Mrs. Heaton, you said that you think Mr. Heaton meant you to find the photograph as a means of getting at you.
I think he might have, yes.
Had things really reached such a warlike footing, Mrs. Heaton?
Not on my side.
Would you describe yourself as a jealous woman, Mrs. Heaton?
No.
Even when your husband is younger than yourself and obviously attractive to other women, you still say you were not jealous?
No.
You were seen by your neighbour, Mrs. Williams, burning something in the kitchen sink. What was it?
You know very well.
It would be much better if you were to tell us.
It was the photograph that I'd found in Jim's pocket.
A photograph of your husband's girlfriend, and you still say that you were not jealous?
Not really, no.
At the time, you told Mrs. Williams that it was an unsavoury fan letter. Why?
It was none of her business.
So you lied about it?
Yes.
Having discovered the photograph, why did you not simply leave it in your husband's pocket?
I don't know, I just couldn't bear to think of it there, that's all.
Why was that? Was it because you knew that it was a photograph of your husband's girlfriend?
Yes, I suppose so.
So you did feel jealous, Mrs. Heaton?
I felt a lot of things, but it wasn't anger. I wasn't angry.
Mrs. Heaton, you have said, have you not, that you rarely went into the garage?
Yes, that's right.
And yet we have heard that you habitually stored candles, matches and paraffin in there.
Well, the candles and things have been put there about a year or so back before the strike. I mean, I didn't keep going in and out to see if Jim was eating them in the meanwhile.
How much pocket money did you usually leave your husband, Mrs. Heaton?
Depended on how much I'd earned. How much I had to pay out. It could be anywhere between 20 and 60 pounds.
And what did you think he spent the money on?
I never asked.
Surely you must have suspected he can't have spent all that money.
I never thought.
And that the remainder must have accumulated into a tidy sum in your husband's possession.
I never thought about it.
Mrs. Heaton, would you describe yourself as successful in your chosen career as a singer?
Well, not as successful as I'd have liked to have been.
You're an ambitious woman, Mrs. Heaton.
I was.
So why do you think you are less than successful?
Should have taken my chances to London when I was younger.
What stopped you?
Well, Jim had a job in Fulchester and I had to stay with him.
Oh, you had to, Mrs.
No.
Heaton. Does that mean to say you didn't want to?
I wanted to stay with him. It just meant that I missed my chances, that's all.
Would you say that, in fact, it was your husband who had held you back in your career?
Yes.
And you are, or were, on your own admission, an ambitious woman. Mrs. Heaton, I put it to you that you did go into your garage on the day before the fire, where you were seen by your neighbour, Mrs. Williams, that you had discovered the existence of your husband's savings, and that you did deliberately set fire to the garage in order to destroy them. And when your husband went in to save them, you, jealous and deeply hurt as you were, took the opportunity which presented itself to shut your husband in the burning building with the intention of killing him.
No. No.
When you had secured the doors, you went back into the house, only emerging after your husband had escaped, so that the jemmy you were carrying was not intended to break open the doors, but to be used as a weapon against your victim, whom you saw escaping from you after all.
That's not true. It's not true.
You said that you felt a lot of different things when you found the photograph in your husband's pocket. What were those feelings? Can you remember?
Well, I might have felt a bit jealous, it's true. But I was upset more than anything else. I didn't want him to have her photograph.
Why not?
Because it would always remind him of her. I just didn't want that. I wanted it out of the way.
You could have put it in the waste bin.
Yeah, well, then he could have seen it. Then he would have known that I'd seen it. I thought that if he'd put it there on purpose for me to find, then it was because he either wanted to get at me or he wanted a confrontation.
And you didn't want a confrontation?
No.
Why not?
Because it could have led to us splitting up. I wanted to keep my husband.
So you didn't want your husband to know that you had found the photo in order to avoid a confrontation, but at the same time you couldn't bear the thought of it remaining in his possession.
That's right. So I had to burn it. Then, you see, he would think that he'd either lost it, it had fallen out of his pocket. I needed time to get him back.
But Belinda Heaton found out about her husband's girlfriend. She found a photograph of her in his jacket pocket, and she began to plan her revenge. Now, she denies that she knew anything about the money hidden on the garage rafters until after the fire. But did she really not know about these tins of money belonging to her husband, money which she had earned and given to him? What did she imagine he spent it on? He had no extravagant habits. Is it not likely she suspected that he had saved at least part of that pocket money? She says also that she hardly ever went into the garage, and yet on the very day before the fire, only half an hour before being seen burning the photograph of her husband's girlfriend, she was seen by Mrs. Williams coming out of the garage. So she had the opportunity to discover the savings, and knowing of them, she most certainly had the motive to commit the act of arson with which she is charged. She had the materials to start the fire already at hand in the garage. She habitually stored candles, matches, and paraffin in there. Now, what of her opportunity? James Heaton has said that she was absent from the bedroom for 10 minutes, or getting on that way. A counsel for the defence have suggested that he might have fallen asleep and lost all track of time, only thinking that she had been gone for 10 minutes. Well, that, of course, is quite possible. But having lost all track of time, is it not just as likely she could have been gone for longer than Mr. Heaton had at first supposed, giving her plenty of time to have started the fire in the garage? Now, sometime later, James Heaton raised the alarm, and he sped downstairs with the intention of saving his money. And what did Belinda Heaton do? Did she telephone the fire brigade? No, she did not. And the next thing her husband knew was that the garage doors were shut against him, trapping him inside the burning building. He saw something, however, just before the garage doors closed. He saw his wife's nightdress moving just outside the garage doors. Belinda Heaton had seen her husband trying to rescue his money, something which she, a jealous and ambitious woman, could not allow to happen, for it was his means of escape from her. In her jealousy and her rage, her deeply felt hurt, Belinda Heaton deliberately shut the doors against him, retreating into the kitchen and closing her ears to the screaming entreaties of her husband to let him out. And when the doors burst open with the explosion and her husband escaped, his clothing on fire, she hurried out, grasping at the nearest weapon in order to prevent that escape by the use of force against him. But then she saw Mrs. Williams, And only at that point did she drop the jemmy and go to her husband's aid. Now, his first words when he emerged from the fire were, "She knew she did it." And the defendant did not deny nor make any attempt to deny her husband's accusations. The fire brigade, with the aid of forensic science, found evidence strongly suggesting arson as the cause of the fire.
The cause of the fire was not arson. James Heaton was in the garage for half an hour after his wife had gone to bed, allegedly checking the oil. But how much more likely that he was checking his savings on the rafters with the help of matches? That they fell onto the carelessly discarded paraffin-soaked rag on the floor beneath, and that the fire was accidentally sparked off by James Heaton himself. Now, Mrs. Heaton has denied all knowledge that the money was there, and the prosecution has not been able to prove otherwise. If she did not know that the money was there, what could have been her possible reason for starting the fire? And furthermore, what opportunity did she actually have to do so? Mr. Heaton is vague about the length of time that his wife was away from the room that night. But even if Mrs. Heaton had been absent for as long as Mr. Heaton suggests, it is unlikely, as the evidence of the station officer of Fulchester Fire Brigade indicated, that she would have had time to set up the complex technique of starting a fire. Now, Mr. Heaton did not see his wife at the garage doors. He saw her nightdress and only her nightdress. He says that he saw it move. There was a strong wind that night. In his panic, Mr. Heaton saw the nightdress on the washing line move and thought it was his wife. And when a sudden gust of wind shut the garage doors, he thought his wife had shut them against him. But in fact, when Belinda Heaton realized that her husband was trapped inside, she went to the house to get a jemmy to break the doors down and let him out. Mrs. Williams has described the wild expression in Mrs. Heaton's eyes, but how else can she be expected to have looked when she saw her husband emerging from a blazing garage, his clothes on fire? Belinda Heaton loved her husband. She wanted to win him back. Far from being a hard and ruthless woman, she was generous and utterly loyal. I suggest to you, members of the jury, that Belinda Heaton is the victim of a sad chain of circumstances, and that there is no proof that she committed either of the crimes with which she is accused. Thank you, members of the jury.
What goes on within the confines of any marriage is always difficult for an outsider to assess. And we are not here to act as referee in some divorce case. No, the question you must ask yourselves is, has sufficient proof been offered that Belinda May Heaton, the defendant, did commit both or either of the acts of which she is accused? Firstly, that she did deliberately set fire to the garage during the early hours of February the 13th. And secondly, that she did deliberately shut her husband inside the same garage with the intention of murdering him. Now, the fire brigade have said that in any case of arson, it is rare to find 100% proof that such it was. And the fire officer in this case could not refute the suggestion put forward by the defense that the cause of the fire was accidental. But there is the question of those matches found on the garage floor. How did they get there? They must have got there somehow. So the question is, which of them, Mr. Heaton or the defendant, is telling the truth? It is much the same in the question of the second count, that of the attempted murder. Did Mr. Heaton see his wife at the garage door? Or did he merely see one of her nightdresses blowing about on the washing line? Perhaps the accused did have good reason to feel aggrieved at her husband's behavior. He assaulted her physically. And that day, she had discovered the existence of another woman in his life. But what you must consider is whether she is the kind of woman who would commit either of the acts of which she is accused. If you decide she is that kind of woman, and if the prosecution has offered sufficient proof that she did commit arson, then you must find the defendant guilty on the first count. If not, you must find her not guilty. Next, and quite separately, you must consider the second count, that of attempted murder. For even if you arrived at a decision of not guilty on the first count, it is possible that, taking advantage of the situation, the accused did shot her husband in the burning garage with the intention of murdering him. If the prosecution has offered sufficient proof to you that she did indeed do this, then you must find the defendant guilty on the second charge. If not, you must find her not guilty. And now, members of the jury, will you please retire? Elect a foreman to speak for you, and consider your verdicts on the 2 counts in the indictment.
The prisoner will stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Have you reached a verdict on which you are all agreed?
We have.
On the first count of the charge, which is to say damaging by fire the garage of 12 Victoria Drive, do you find the defendant, Belinda May Heaton, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
And on the second count of the charge, which is to say of attempting murder on her husband, James Arthur Heaton, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Belinda May Heaton, you are free to leave the court.
All rise.